Welcome to Nugget 161, and this will be a continuation of our USGS marker Nugget across the nation. And if you haven't watched Nugget 160, I want to encourage you to do that first, because this is part 2 of a fabulous display of markers, monuments, and borders across our nation.
Is this the one that the walk was uphill both ways?
This isn't the one that the walk was uphill both ways, but it might as well been. It was 4-wheel drive to get to the top of this, and I think it was rather warm that day.
I do remember that.
As I recorded in my book, under the Arizona section, it was 106 degrees the day we hiked to the Gila and Salt River Meridian Initial Point, one of 37 Federal Survey points of origin. It was established in 1851, and all of Arizona was surveyed from this point on Monument Hill. That's just incredible.
That is incredible.
And it's a beautiful designed monument marker there on top of Monument Hill. I recommend going there, but maybe not on a 160 degree day.
Unless you really feel like sweating and make sure you have a lot of water.
And this was a crazy place that's up near Flagstaff. Why don't you tell them about this one where we found a survey marker?
Rather interesting. It's Astronaut Training Ground. It says on the sign on the fence, it says this is the only remaining astronaut training area. If you don't just pull your car in, it takes a while to get there.
You have to park at the entrance of the dump, and then it's a 1.2 mile hike over to, well, it's actually the Cinder Lake landfill.
We talk about it in our meetings, especially misconceptions about space, where they tried to make a replica of what they felt like the moon was supposed to look like. And so they dynamited it. And anyway, this is the only remaining training site. But we did come across a marker.
This one was done by the U.S. Department of Agriculture Forest Service. Not only does the USGS, but actually the Forest Service Agricultural Department does these too. They're just fascinating. I love when we stumble across these things. We love traveling along the border. Maybe not now. We do love traveling along there, and we were down in Nogales, and we were having a picnic out along the border here, and the wall itself is not on the exact border, but we could see this particular old marker, and we took a picture of it, and it says it's the boundary of the United States, Treaty of 1848, and reestablished by other treaties. And here we are at the boundary between the United States of America and the Límite de los Estados Unidos Mexicanos. And we go across to Mexico as often as we can. It's fun to do this, but unfortunately now it is not fun. It's extremely dangerous, and we were talking to a pastor just a few days ago about the situation in the valley, and he says that people are just pouring in. It's very dangerous, and that the cartel basically has control of the border. It is a sick situation. He's advised his church members not to go out at night. It's a horrendous thing that is going on, and it's sad because just a few months back we were down in the valley. We went to where the 450th mile of fence was constructed and where our president had signed.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
But we have a sad situation down there, and we ask you to pray for these citizens of the United States that live in this horrendous situation that's going on here. It's sad, it's real, definitely needs some attention.
And then we're down in San Diego, where the Pacific Crest Trail starts, right at the borderline there.
And this is where the Pacific Crest National Scenic Trail actually ends. It's a 2,650-mile trail from Mexico to Canada. Well, I guess you could.
Can you start at the end?
I'd rather start at Canada and end up in Mexico. It has the greatest change in elevation of all the National Scenic Trails, dropping to near sea level at the Washington-Oregon border, and its highest point is at 13,153-foot Forester Pass in the Sierra Nevada mountains.
Quite a hike to do that whole thing.
Yes, and we've done part of the PCT. Yes, we have. We've caught it several places in California, like at the Ansel Adams Wilderness, at Devil's Postpile, at Lassen, at Kings Canyon, at John Muir Wilderness, at Yosemite, at Anza Borrega Desert State Park, at Castle Crag State Park, and then the wilderness at Shasta Trinity National Forest. We've caught the PCT at a lot of places, along with the Appalachian Trail, and this is one of the things that we like to do is walk a mile or two at least on them. And then here are some fun ones that we've come across. They don't have anything to do with necessarily the actual survey marker, but some fun borders.
They're still a very important marker.
Right.
On the Hoover Dam between Nevada and Arizona. Kind of neat to stand in each state. And then here we are in Omaha, Council Bluffs, Nebraska on one side and Iowa on the other side.
It was a beautiful bridge. We went at night.
Beautiful bridge at night.
The bridge was beautiful. It was a bit sketchy for a minute or two, but
we had a little question about it for a little bit.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was beautiful. It's a beautiful bridge. If you're ever in Omaha, I definitely recommend that you go there at night. It's beautiful. Yeah,
and then here we are at Fort Smith, the Indian Territory on one side, Arkansas on the other side, just right there on that line.
In this display is the Choctaw boundary marker from circa 1877. Delineated by a line of cast iron posts, the border between the Indian Territory and Arkansas remained only a line drawn on a map. Subject to changing policies and human disputes, it could not prevent eventual loss of tribal lands. The Choctaw, Fort Smith's closest neighbors, lost land in 1825 through a surveying error, a dispute settled 50 years later, and then in 1905 through the allotment process. Indian Territory itself disappeared with Oklahoma statehood in 1907.
And then it is always kind of fun to find the important meridians and locations across this country, and here we are in Nebraska at the 100th meridian.
And meridian lines are longitude lines, and this is the 100th meridian, and that's what separates the humid east from the arid west. And I always tease, it's like, I got to get on the other side of the 100th meridian, and this marker is in Cozad, Nebraska. And speaking of meridian lines, we were at the Alabama State Capitol the other day, and they had these two markers on either side of the Capitol. One was marked North Meridian, and one was marked South Meridian. And the way that you can remember longitude and latitude is latitude, you can change your attitude by what latitude you're at. If it's warm, you're going south, you can get a better attitude. If you go north, you can get a worse attitude if it's cold, right? That's just my personal opinion.
That's the way some people
That's
think.
how I remembered latitude. And then here are just a couple more markers that we've come across.
Here's one in Arizona at Pueblo de Plata, which I'm not sure why they didn't just put the sign on the post.
I think it fell.
Oh, maybe that happened.
Actually, remember it was completely laying down, and we were the ones who propped it
We
up.
actually propped it up. Wind probably blew it over after we left, but it's all right.
It made us feel better.
It made us feel better.
But it's all pumice, volcanic rock that
Right.
this is in. And
It's
you
a
can
pretty
see
cool
here,
rock.
this is a good example how the surveyors dig a hole and then they place this lengthy marker into the ground and then concrete it up. That's why the one in Scotts Bluff is so interesting, how it has been exposed. And I'm not sure if that's what's going on with the one in Flagstaff at the Astronaut place or not. I haven't heard for sure why that one is so high in the ground. That may have been the way it was placed. And here is the very unique marker of Four Corners. It's the only place where 4 states meet. They are the states of Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona. This border monument is reached through New Mexico. But we're going to end here with this one curious marker that we found.
In Fryeburg, Maine, and we've been there a few times, doing some climbing and rappelling, and it's just a nice hiking area, pretty area. It says, from the original profile survey made by Robert Edwin Perry. Admiral Perry? Anyway, so that was kind of neat. It's neat to see that one up there.
They erected this big monument for him up there with this marker, just in honor of him. He actually lived
there.
Yeah, he lived in Fryeburg from 1873 to 1879. And if you don't know about Admiral Perry, you might want to investigate him. And when you see these markers, realize there's a lot of history behind them and why they're there. So keep an eye out for them.
Yes.
And in our next nugget, we will be introducing a very special guest. Please share these nuggets with at least one friend and one family member. Help us to grow our YouTube channel. Again, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Steve Groman. And if you appreciate these nuggets and can support us on a monthly or a one-time basis, we would certainly appreciate that. Thank you.